right. Jesus Christ.
We don't know what's up with this shit.
I mean...
We kind of restarted it. We'll see. Give everybody a little bit of chance to come in here. Let me see if I can get in.
Your part on your wig is very, very crooked.
Wait, hey, man, don't be just, you know what I mean? Where does it go? Is it good? Okay. Jenny, fucking with me.
I'm not fucking with you. I'm just telling you.
All right. Let me go ahead and get started.
You were talking about Ronnie James Dio. We were talking about...
Talking about metal and fucking all kinds...
like I said, I kind of feel like and I think the reason that I wasn't into metal, maybe, was because its whole shtick, not entirely true, but particularly in the 80s and maybe the early 90s, its whole shtick was, we're evil, and this is, like, shit your parents wouldn't listen to. So they were going out of their way to be, like, fucking satanic. You know?
No, not all bands.
Well, no. Yeah, I'm not saying everybody. But I do kind of feel like that was, like, kind of like the angle they were trying to come from.
On some of those bands.
Sure.
On some of those bands.
And
the problem is that once you went that route, you couldn't back off of it.
True.
If you start talking about Satan, you got to strictly deal with Satan from then on out. You can't mix it with politics. You can't mix it with relationships.
Well, you can,
then all of a sudden
but...
it fucks up the credibility of your band. All the satanic metal bands only dealt with Satan. Satan, or maybe werewolves.
Which after a while...
werewolves. They
Satan
talk about
and maybe
werewolves and maybe some vampires. That was it. And witches. That's what they would deal with. You couldn't talk about your girlfriend leaving you. You know what I mean? Shit, man, this shit's fucking... Are we going to have to fucking... This shit went red for a second. Are we going to have to fucking end the show? What the fuck?
No, we're all right.
Okay. All right. So, that was... Dad's problem is that he got caught a little bit in a time warp. And in the music industry, it doesn't take long. If you fall behind in 10 years, you're way out.
You hem yourself in.
Yeah, and he hemmed himself into the fucking satanic fucking thing a bit. And once he started fucking appearing where he had to take when he had his shirt off and he's fucking like, and he wasn't that built. He did a couple cycles of things and did some roids and he wasn't all that fucking stacked. And you can't come off of that. You got to stay that way. You know what I mean? If you're going to do that in public, you got to stay that way. And because that's not what happened. He fucking came off cycle, didn't do PCT properly, gained a bunch of weight, and all of a sudden he's an older fat guy.
Buying cat litter.
Well, he didn't look that bad during the cat litter phase. He got fatter fucking...
I mean, people gave him shit for that. Look, everybody has to buy cat litter. Come on.
The cat litter
He's taking care of his cat.
What it is that once you've puffed yourself up into the fucking dark lord of the fucking underworld and shit, you can't be seen fucking...
That's what I'm saying.
Buying kitty litter.
You're really kind of like shooting yourself in the dick.
Right.
Because honestly, everybody has to... If you are a loving cat parent, as we are, you got to buy cat litter. They got to poop. So
now, this could have all been mitigated had he fucking been real jovial and charismatic during his fucking...
Exactly, and that's why I'm saying he's on the Steven Seagal spectrum.
Yeah, a bit of it is Steven Seagal.
Of taking his stupid ass too seriously. Yeah. You can't be Dark Lord of the fucking whatever all the time, and then you have to do normal real person shit like buying cat litter or toilet paper, for example. Because somebody takes a picture of you nowadays doing that, which somebody will because it's the 21st century. That's going to go all over the internet, and people are going to be like, ooh, look, the Dark Lord of whatever, and he's buying fucking toilet paper. Yeah. So, you know, just be a regular person.
He should. What he should have done is during... his interviews. Now I understand the media was not quite as... It was a lot more restricted back in the day. You started doing it. I mean, getting airtime was fucking really hard. He should have been fucking funny and fucking friendly. And and that would have fucking endeared people to him a lot more.
Because you take yourself too seriously, everyone's gonna like fucking relish in taking your stupid ass down.
But he came from a narrow band society. The times were different back then, and he's appearing in it only a decade or so before drastic changes of the internet. You know what I mean? So nobody had considered that. So he didn't quite make the transition. Too bad, though.
Nowadays, it's hard to maintain an image that is not predicated upon reality in any sense. No. I kind of feel like it's much easier for people like us who are just like acting like our regular ass dumbass selves in public, and we don't have any like image to maintain other than we're just our dumbass selves. Yeah. If you have some kind of like, I'm the satanic dark lord of whatever, and it's like, ooh, like all that, somebody takes a picture of you buying cat litter, then yeah, that's going to be a problem. Whereas if somebody
get knocked the fuck out.
If somebody, well, that too. If somebody took a picture of me buying cat litter, I'd just be like, yeah, I'm buying cat litter because cats got to poop. Yeah. So, and we have cats.
Well, it would have played out differently had he just kind of been himself, but maybe maybe that wasn't himself, or maybe he is a dick. I don't know. Honestly, think he might have been a little stuffy about himself. I don't know. Well,
I think that's his major issue. And like I said, he's not as bad as Steven Seagal, but we bring up Steven Seagal as kind of like he's like at the far end of the spectrum. Yeah. When you get to a point where you can't laugh at yourself and you can't, you're like not even like a human anymore. You're almost kind of like, well, I can't be seen doing this, that, and the other thing, and people can't make jokes about you. You like take everything way too seriously. Then, yeah, people are going to relish taking you down because it's easy.
That being said, Steven Seagal is a fake, okay, in most respects.
Well, everybody knows that. Yeah.
Glenn Danzig wasn't. Glenn Danzig can sing. He can write. He is.
Yeah, he can do some shit.
I've seen that dude live, and fucking he was awesome. Back in his heyday. Back in the 90s up in Boston in the fucking like 94, 95, around that time. And no, he was fucking awesome live. Fucking great show. And no, he was fucking punching way above his fucking weight. He's really good. Really good. It's just he made some fucking public image mistakes. You know what I mean? But he didn't know what was going on, and I think at the time...
As I said, taking yourself too seriously is always a big mistake. Right. Please don't ever do that if you're in the public eye. I mean, honestly, the best thing that you can do is just play it off. Yeah. Just be a person. Yeah. Everybody else is a person. They will get it. It's fine.
But, fucking if... if anybody's never heard him or fucking don't know who we're talking about... No, fucking Glenn Danzig was the fucking shit. He's good. He's real good.
Yeah. Like I said, at least he has some talent, unlike
he's good.
Some other people that I just compared him to.
Steven Seagal didn't have any talent, really.
Not really.
No.
I mean, he must have had some talent because he kind of got famous. Yeah. But there's other people I can think of that are more talented in areas that he was supposedly talented in. That didn't really get a chance because of him. I don't know. There's a lot of things that go into talent. It's not always talent. Yeah. I remember one thing that Stephen King said this, actually. And I think it was might have been in Dance Macabre or might have been in On Writing. And he said, talent is as cheap as table salt. Basically, a lot of people are talented. Yeah. It's all in what you
just look at us.
Do with it. Yeah. All in what you do with it, how you market yourself. So it's always kind of like, and honestly, like I've heard about a lot of stories like fucking writers and stuff like that. I mean, I'm really into horror directors and horror writers and stuff. People that made one fucking brilliant ass movie or wrote like a couple brilliant ass books, and they weren't really recognized. Sometimes they were recognized like after they died. Yeah. Which is kind of sad, but it wasn't necessarily any fault of their own. They wrote some brilliant ass shit, but either the world was not ready for it, or they didn't know how to market it, or whoever marketed it didn't know how to market it. So there are a lot of other factors at play. So being talented at something doesn't always mean something. And I know that's really like shitty to think about, but there's a lot of other factors that are kind of out of your control that have to do with like how successful you are at something.
It's what you have, being at the right place at the right time, and then learning how to fucking market that and exploit that, and then how to endear other people to you. Charisma has a lot to do with it, and the only problem a guy like Glenn Danzig had was he had a charisma problem. He didn't know how. I
think that was his main issue.
Yeah.
Honestly, that might have been his only issue.
Yeah, he had a
but it's kind of a big deal.
Right, and it's kind of a big deal. And not about his looks. He looked good.
Yeah.
It was just he didn't know how to charm people and keep people on his side and to recruit. He couldn't recruit. Not through charm. He recruited through music. He was just all music and singing, and he was good though. Real good. He was fucking great. Even some of his later stuff that I'd never heard before, I went back and looked at that. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh yeah. I mean, so he was always strong, and fucking he made friends with who was the Western singer fucking who did Folsom Prison Blues?
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash. Yeah, he became friends with Johnny Cash. They did Glenn wrote songs for Johnny Cash. So, you know, Cash
Johnny Cash.
He was a charismatic dude.
Covered.
Yeah.
Nick Cave's The Mercy Seat.
Yeah, that was the thing about fucking Cash.
And that was it was a completely different than Nick Cave's version, but it was also brilliant.
That was one of the strong parts of fucking Cash. I don't consider Cash a country singer. I consider him a Western singer.
Johnny Cash, to me, he's kind of like one of those figures that just like
he could do
spreads like all genres.
Right. So he knew how to charm people and go into other venues. So you had guys in the metal scene listening to fucking Johnny Cash.
Sure.
He was good.
I mean,
he was doing 9 Inch Nails? Fucking wasn't Trent Reznor doing shit?
He did, yeah. Like I said, he covered Nick Cave. He covered 9 Inch Nails, and it wasn't. He's so cool that nobody said, "Okay, old man, what are you doing? Like covering like these cool like younger." Nobody said that.
No, they're like, "Oh, okay."
Because Johnny Cash,
the Cash treatment.
Was one of those people that just transcended genre, transcended era.
And generations,
which is very rare. You don't really see that a lot, but Johnny Cash was absolutely... David Bowie was another one. Was one of those people that just absolutely... out of time. So it didn't really matter, like, what era you were from, what genre you were from. He could do it, and it was fine. No one was going to complain.
Cash did a cover of a 9 Inch Nails song called "Hurt." That shit was fucking awesome.
Yeah. And like I said, he covered Nick Cave's "The Mercy Seat."
Yeah.
And he did. It's really interesting because the Nick Cave version is very. I don't even know what genre I'd call it. It's a very post-punk like kind of version. Johnny Cash did a more. I don't want to say it's like necessarily acoustic, but he did a more acoustic version of it, and it's also brilliant. He did like a completely different thing with it, but it really worked in the context. So, you know, if you have that, and like I said, it's very rare. That doesn't really happen a lot, because I do kind of feel like sometimes, if somebody like Glenn Danzig attempted that, I think everybody would be like, no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's only a very, very small percentage of people that just transcend genre and era in that way. And I can only really think of maybe a handful of people that you could do that and it would be fine and no one would complain about it because it was like, oh, of course, that works. But most of the time, everyone's just kind of like, no, what are you doing? Stop it. So I kind of feel like, as cool as Glenn Danzig is, or was, I guess, back in the day.
No, he's cool.
He's cool.
He's cool, yeah.
But he's not Johnny Cash cool. He's not David Bowie cool.
No.
You know what I mean? That's a whole other... And I can't even explain what it is. That's a whole other level. And it's like, that's not even like, that's several levels above humans.
Yeah.
Generally. So, and it's not so much...
I judge a motherfucker on how they die. Fucking on how they die. And fucking David Bowie died. He died strong. And the motherfucker looked good. It was making a music video dying of cancer. Putting out his last album. And you put the shit out and you're like, what the fuck did that mean? And then you find out later, oh, by the way, I'm dead. Fucking, you know, there you go. That was your last album.
David Bowie's whole entire life, to me, that is like an instructional manual.
Yeah.
Because he was just like, Everything he did was just like, it was perfect. Perfect.
And then David's last fucking word, his last message to us as mortals, okay? He told this to Iman. Fucking, he goes, tell them I was always a closeted heterosexual.
Which to me, like I said, that was just like, that's like the cherry on top. Did he really say that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't.
According to Iman, that's what he said. Tell them I was always a closeted heterosexual. Which I suspect.
Which might have been he was dying. He's like, look, this is not really my last words, but tell everybody this is my last words.
He was bullshit. He's trolling.
But like I said,
and
if that was true, then like he was thinking about the shit to the end, and I was just like,
because even before he died, there were people who knew him, and fucking his band members, fucking, you know what I mean, fucking like, what's his name, Mars? I think his name was fucking Mick Mars. They were going to all these gay clubs dressed up in the gay clothes back in the 70s. And they were very uncomfortable because these are British working class guys and they're straight. And what fucking Bowie's, one of his strengths is that he could feel the market and see what was coming. And he had, one of his major advantages is that he knew how to recruit sponsorship from powerful gay men in the fucking art scenes and in the music scenes to help them fund these projects, and that he would make profit. And he knew how to put on a good act, and you had rich gay guys who wanted to see that act brought to the mainstream. And he knew how to fucking raise money.
The thing about Bowie, though, and like I said, I don't think you could do this...
It wasn't like, fake either.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
multimedia
think I don't think you could do this like in a calculated way.
No.
I think the reason that Bowie worked was because I don't think he was overthinking it to any degree. He was thinking about it, sure, but I don't think he was overthinking it to the point where I'm going to do this because this will make me X amount of dollars.
No, it was projects he wanted to see happen.
Yeah, and he just happened to have the right enthusiasm, have the right personality, know the right people to get that stuff happen at that particular time.
Yeah.
If it was a different time, it might not have worked the same way. If it was, it was just right place, right time, and right guy for the time.
And another thing is that David Bowie as a musician, and that's not really how he saw himself. He wanted to be an actor. So he's doing multimedia stuff. He's using music as kind of like as a venue for him to show you characters he's created. Every one of those albums back in the 70s, he's being a different character.
Yeah. That was kind of his whole thing. And he was in movies as well, man. Yeah. He was in The Hunger. He was in Labyrinth. Right. He was in The Linguini Incident.
Right.
Have you guys seen that? Because I was kind of obsessed with that movie, like back in the fucking late 80s.
Some of his characters were kind of gender bending, and and then he's playing kind of fucking characters that have fucking neuroses and stuff. He's playing characters that have drug problems, like the Thin White Duke.
Or
he's a coke freak. You know what I mean? Or he's or an alien, or a guy, or a rock star, or a kid from England who's got a rock band pretending to be an alien,
or a vampire,
or a vampire, or just
watch The Hunger. Seriously.
Well, no, I was talking about on the albums, not so much the movies.
Yeah.
The albums were a vehicle for Bowie to put on a show and to act. He always considered himself an entertainer, not a singer.
Well, as I said, and we talked about this a little bit on our Vamp review, which I put up earlier. Grace Jones kind of had the same thing where, your whole life is kind of like performance art. So whatever media is available to you at the time, you want to be like, cross-genre multimedia. And I kind of feel like Grace Jones was doing that, David Bowie was doing that, whether it was like music or movies or art or whatever the fuck you were doing. Because honestly, like creative people, you see possibility in all different kinds of media. Yeah. And you don't really want to be restricted by one particular media. I don't want to just be a painter. I don't want to just be a movie maker. I want to do all these other things, Yeah. Which I kind of feel like I have that problem too, because there's so many possibilities. It's just kind of like, man, I could like write books. I could do like fucking I could design a video game. I could do this and that and the other. Like, and especially nowadays because there's so many different like possibilities, and it's almost like the hardest part is like winnowing yourself down to like one thing.
What was that showed up? Did we lose connection?
No, it's just just a email
it's an email.
notification. Okay. I get email notifications, so that's what that is. Let's see. They're talking about food, which, yeah, Cheryl says Johnny Cash's Hurt is beautiful. It is. Honestly, I'm going to say I think I like the Johnny Cash version more than the Nine Inch Nails version. A little bit. Because I love Johnny Cash anyway. Like, I liked all his old shit, but when he started, like, covering, you know, sort of goth people, like in the 90s and stuff, I was kind of like, oh, I'm all
Well, there was an intersection going on at that time.
Well, yeah, and honestly, like, he got kind of a resurgence, I feel like, in the 90s because he put out, what's that song, Delia's Gone. Do you remember that? I have that on my phone. And it was like an old school country song, but it was like like a lot of them were like a murder song. And it's a great, and I think that was only like a year or two after Nick Cave put out, like, for example, like Murder Ballads. So there was kind of like a, sort of like a resurgence of that type of stuff. And he put that out, and they played the video on MTV. They played it on 120 Minutes, like on their alternative show, and it's a fucking great-ass song.
We're talking about Bowie's house, some of his houses with him on. The last I had heard, my information is pretty old, though. David Bowie was the most wealthy musician, okay? Even more so than, say, Michael Jackson. But he had not made that money through music. He made it through real estate investment and art dealing. Now, we kind of know in the modern world that art dealing has a lot to do with fucking money laundering. Okay, but that's just a sign of his intelligence, you know what I mean? Fucking... So, Bowie understood the scam, too. But he had a lot of... He would... his name and his power gave him enough credit line to buy some fucking... very fucking important properties throughout the world. Fucking mansions on the island of Borneo. Fucking all kinds of stuff up in Indonesia, you know. He had a bunch of... great properties, and then he had a lot of friends in the old media, the old dinosaur media, like fucking the Home and Gardens magazines, and they would do whole fucking layouts on some house that he owned. Why? Because he's going to sell it and give them a kickback. You know what I mean? It's just that was the old way of doing shit back then.
Well, they still do that nowadays.
They still do that.
Yeah.
But you know, if you buy a house. And you go, yeah, this is David Bowie's old fucking house on the island of Borneo. You know what I mean? Fucking, you're fucking the man. You know, you got fucking one of Bowie's houses. You know, he motherfucker probably was only there a couple times, but it doesn't matter. You know.
Well, it's historic because he had something.
Which one of these rooms were Bowie and Iman fucking in? Okay,
yeah, so it's like let's imagine what was going on. What kind of parties did they have?
Move the bedroom into that room. We're gonna get
some Bowie Iman energy.
Yeah, right. Let me go get you another.
Cheryl says Bowie was so sexy. I agree, honestly. Can I just say I love that somebody as weird as Bowie became essentially a worldwide icon to a point where, I mean, he was so fucking influential on so many, I mean, particularly music, but a lot of other media as well. And it's just kind of like, I love that. I love somebody as like weird as that was so fucking influential and so iconic. Tila says, Jen, I know you love The Hunger. I do. Which I feel bad for Bowie's character in that one. I did too. Honestly, I don't know if you ever read the book, which was written by Whitley Strieber, the same guy that wrote Communion, where he apparently legitimately claimed that he was kidnapped by aliens, which, okay, Whitley Strieber. The Hunger, it was a pretty good book, but I will say, and I did like that it went more into Miriam's backstory, like in ancient Egypt and stuff. But this is one of the very rare cases, thank you, where I thought the movie was much better. I know a lot of people complained about the movie. It's Tony Scott, by the way. Being more style over substance was, I think, was the most prolific criticism. looks like a music video. But honestly, that was one of the things I liked about it. And to be honest, yeah, it does it looks awesome. I just love the whole like visual of it. But the reason I love The Hunger is because the implication of the vampire myth in that one is so much more horrific than the actual, like, a lot of vampire movies. To be honest with you, seeing vampire movies, I'm like, oh, you get bit by a vampire, and they're like, oh, you live forever, and you can just, like, do it. I'm like, that sounds kind of awesome. The Hunger went into a little bit more of a scientific direction in the sense that Miriam, who was kind of the head vampire, she was thousands of years old. They implied that she came from ancient Egypt or whatever. And her whole thing, it was a very tragic movie because she was trying to find an eternal love, somebody that would like stay with her forever. So she kept turning companions that she felt an affinity for. But after 200 or 300 years, the vampire blood, the human blood, it wasn't compatible. So it would start to break down after a while, and they would start to age very, very rapidly. But the kicker of it was they would age very rapidly, but they wouldn't die. And the fucked up thing was that Miriam couldn't bear to kill them, so she would keep them. So she kept these people that had been her companions for hundreds of years. She would just put them in a box and stick them up in the attic because she couldn't deal with like killing them, but they were still alive and they were rotting because, like I said, the blood wasn't compatible. So to me, that whole like concept was way more like horrific than any other like vampire thing. And it was just like a bonus that the movie itself looked fabulous. Like, I loved the inside of their apartment and like all the blowing curtains and all the like the doves and shit like that flying. And obviously Bathouse was in it. That was fucking fantastic. Bowie was in it. Fantastic. It was just like a great fucking movie. I love that movie so much. I've seen it a million fucking times. If you've never seen The Hunger from 1983, if you're into vampire movies, if you're into 80s movies, and you want to see some like real, like I said, it's very stylish, but the implications of it way more horrific than any other vampire movie, because it's not just a case of, oh, well, we'll bite you and you're a vampire and you live forever and you're beautiful. Yeah, not quite. It's a little more complicated than that. And honestly, to me, that was like a lot worse. So I liked it more. Cheryl says, The Hunger is so beautiful. How hot was Susan Sarandon? Oh, and another thing, too. If you ever wanted to see a movie in which a very young Susan Sarandon and a very young Catherine Deneuve have sex with one another, The Hunger, that's your movie. That's your movie. Oh, you put on your Joe Dirt wig.
What's up, Pookie Pants?
Hi, Pookie. What's up? What are you doing? Let's see. Jason says, wait a minute. I got so behind. We were talking about The Hunger, and I got like all distracted. No Need for Me Too says, I saw that Bowie movie, Man Who Fell to Earth. So weird for a young kid to see. Yeah, I saw that when I was a younger kid too, and like, yeah. We just watched it recently, like a few months ago, because we reviewed it. That is a very weird movie. I can't believe I saw that when I was like a teenager. Oh, you brought Pool Camp.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, sweetie.
It's a good movie. They kind of fucked some things up about that movie.
Yeah, but you know.
I think it was budgetary. It was a lot of the problems. There's some stuff. There were some scenes that should have been in there that weren't. Tom needs to sing. Do you think I'm? No, I'm not gonna fucking sing this song.
Cheryl says Bowie lived rather modestly considering his wealth. Yeah, I mean, he always seemed I don't know. He just always seemed like not down to earth necessarily. I'm not even sure there's a word for it.
Well, look,
he seemed like genuine, but also like weird at the same time.
If you ever like watch any videos on YouTube, but about fucking abandoned mansions and fucking stuff like that, you'll see in the comment section sometimes people who are in the real estate business making comments about the mansion gig. A lot of people that buy those mansions eventually don't like them. Especially if it's too big. They end up living in just a few rooms. Kind of like we do here. The human wasn't really meant to be in a big sprawling space like that. It's like you're in a hotel. So they end up kind of cloistering themselves into a couple rooms. That's more what the human's all about. So people that have a whole shit ton of money buy those things mostly for the neighborhood and the clout. All right?
Well, because it makes them look rich.
Right. And they might have parties in them for a while, but when you have a real mansion, you have to run the thing like a damn business.
Yeah, because who's having that many parties that you need that much room? I mean, you need a whole staff to keep the shit clean.
You need a whole staff to keep the shit clean. You need a maintenance staff to come and make sure everything's fucking looking good and everything's together. Because just a few weeks, everything just goes to fucking hell. It's big. It's like running a business.
Yeah.
So, I really see it that, a guy like Bowie or a lot of other guys, after maybe a decade or so of fucking the mansion game, they're fucking sick of that. They just have them for the status and to live in certain neighborhoods. The rest of them are just investments. They probably buy and sell them to make more money. Then they probably get sick of making money because some guys will make so much money it'll just sit up in the back like, yeah, I'm good. I can sit back and live on that.
That'd be nice if I had that.
Yeah. And then
yeah, I forgot how much money I had.
Yeah, they're like, yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, 20 million, that's good. That'll last me. And then
I won't starve, I guess.
Right. And they're like, that'll pay for this place for 30 years, and I won't live that long, so I'll be all right. And then so that's probably what happens with guys like Bowie is that they make a shit ton of money and then eventually get sick of it, and then they end up living in a couple rooms in some mansion somewhere, and the rest of the mansion's mostly disused, like a hotel. The mansion game around here, you can order one out of a catalog fully furnished. They'll build that shit in fucking record time. You show up, it's already got furniture in it and everything. And they'll even arrange it for you and put paintings and artwork up, and there's your instant McMansion, And you probably feel like you're in a hotel, like it's not really so much your house. But they'll live in them for a while, and then they'll go bankrupt, and then they'll sit there for 10, 15 years falling apart, and then they're eventually demolished because you can't sell a mansion. There's not enough buyers.
Well, and like I said, anybody that has enough money to buy and customize a mansion, they're going to have it to their tastes.
Yep.
And their tastes are not necessarily going to align with most people's tastes, as most people's tastes don't.
Yep.
I'm sure if I built a mansion to my specifications, nobody would want that shit. I guarantee it right now, but I would have a good time in it.
Anybody who can afford a $3, $4, $5 million mansion, they're not going to buy a used mansion. They're going to buy a brand new mansion.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you have enough money to buy that, then you have enough money to have one customized for you.
Yep.
So why would you want somebody else's like sloppy seconds?
Yep, because it's not like back in the old days where they'd set it down foundation and they're fucking using stones and fucking mortar work and brick work. No, it's fucking, they'll build that bitch in about a month, a couple weeks. And it's made out of the same kind of material that you have here. It's just wood. And
cheap ass shit.
Cheap shit, wood and fucking fiberboard and fucking sheetrock and same kind of appliances, the same kind of fucking fixtures. It's not even really that big of a deal. They're just bigger. And lots of glass. And a shit ton of fucking air conditioning units to keep the thing cool. You're probably spending fucking $2,000-$3,000 a month just in fucking electric and cooling bills, heating and cooling.
Cheryl says Iman did a tour of one of their houses on YouTube recently. Mm-hmm. I cried like a baby. felt so much like Bowie's space.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm not like real big into like when celebrities die. I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. Yeah, that sucks. When Bowie died, that was a whole other thing. We were at Ibar.
Yeah.
A few days after Bowie died.
Yeah.
They played Bowie like not all night, but they played like a lot of Bowie songs like over the night, and I was okay most of the time. And then they played Changes, and I was out dancing, and I just started crying. And I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. It was, and honestly, like the next day at work, I was at work the next day, and I saw something on YouTube about like somebody like, and then I just started crying again at work. So that was like the only time that happened, like with a quote unquote celebrity dying, was when Bowie died. Because honestly, shit, man, my whole entire fucking existence, I kind of feel like Bowie, one, he made being a weirdo okay. I kind of feel like he was instrumental in that. And he was also very influential in most of the music genres that I enjoy nowadays.
We'll see you around, Tila. Tila's about leaving. Bye-bye, Tila.
Oh, okay, bye.
Yeah.
So, him dying, I mean, I knew it was going to happen because he was getting old and stuff, but that was like a really big blow. And I thought that it wouldn't affect me that much, but it really, really did. It was, yeah, it really got to me. Let's see. Yeah, Iain says Bowie was authentic. That's not a common thing to say. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like he was... It's weird because he had, like, his whole thing was, like, artifice, but you felt like it wasn't artifice. Like, he was genuinely that weird, but you don't really see that a lot. Like I said, you see people that are, like, quote-unquote weird, and a lot of times it comes across as try-hard, like we were saying before, but he absolutely didn't. That was absolutely what he was like, and... You know, and it worked. Yeah. You don't really see that. It's a very, very hard line to like walk, I guess.
Yeah, people are saying 17 people watching. What the hell happened? Well, we got dropped off.
We had to restart because our shit like.
And we've been
broke.
streaming for a long time. It's actually time to probably end the show, and I'll make us something to eat. Actually.
Well, wait a minute. Let me answer some questions.
Go ahead and answer some shit.
First contact with Bowie was Labyrinth, says Ian Inwood. I was hooked. The dude was so fucking good. I mean, I was into him before that, but Labyrinth, I think, was a lot of people's introduction, particularly people my age. And, man, he was so fucking great in that. And honestly, I just watched Labyrinth again. I saw it a million times when I was a kid, but I just recently watched it again.
We have a Criterion, don't we, or a Blu-ray?
Yeah.
I got a really good version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
I mean... God damn it.
Real great.
And like I said, everything about that is fantastic. Jennifer Connelly is great in it. She's great in everything.
The music.
The music is great in it. Like
all
I said,
the symbolism,
it's
the
Jim
stories.
Henson shit is any Jim Henson thing it's gonna be great.
Female coming of age story. How to choose a man. The problems of women. What women, women.
Well,
women and men problems. That's what it's all about.
It's her. Yeah. Coming to womanhood.
Yeah.
She starts out as being like this very, cranky, moody, I don't want to, take care of this baby. I don't want to take any responsibility. I don't want to. So it's like a girl like growing up to adulthood. She like finds her adulthood. But I like that they still have the thing where at the end she comes back to her room and all the little monsters and stuff are still there. And they're like, look, if you need us, we're still here. So it's like she's not, completely abandoning her childhood in the sense of, fantasy, fun, stuff like that. It's still there for her. But she's taking responsibility now. So it's like a girl's coming of age story. Like you're taking responsibility, but you can still have fun. You can still like do this stuff from, your old days. Yeah, we talked about like The Hunger. Honestly, that's easily one of my favorite movies of the 80s. I could watch it over and over and over again. I never get tired of that fucking movie. Kaylin Higgins says, do you know why the rich are so weird? Because they can afford to be. True.
That's Batman.
Yeah, he says Batman, 1989. I mean, they can get away with a lot more, like, if us plebes did some shit like they did, like rich people did, yeah, everybody would like think it was weird, but not so much when they do it. Let me see. Where was I? Celeb deaths don't hit me, but artist deaths do. Yeah, I think that's kind of why. Honestly, I think... Okay, I was upset. Honestly, after David Bowie dying, I think that was kind of like the thing that affected me the most. Even though I didn't expect it to. It hit me harder than I thought it would. But the second most of that ilk that hit me was Marky Smith. If you guys don't know, I'm really into The Fall. I don't know how popular they are in the U.S. Probably not all that much, but, you know, they're a British band. They're from Manchester. And I'm really, really into The Fall. And I didn't actually know, and this is what's shitty, Marky Smith died, and hardly anybody covered it. I only found out about it because my sister sent me an article from NME, I think it was, New Musical Express from UK, if you don't know, and that told me that he died. And I was kind of like, fuck me. I was like, I never got to see them live, and I love that fucking band. And that kind of hit me hard, too. Not as hard as Bowie, but almost. And I think it hit me harder because nobody else really cared about it but me. I don't know. Am I the only person in the U.S. that's into The Fall? I don't know. I guess. But yeah, and I never got to see them live, and now I can't because he's dead now.
Okay, I don't know about you, but I'm starving. I'm gonna
I am also starving. Okay. I am also starving. Well, let me see if things that I have to answer. Okay, yeah. Tila says got to take off now.
That was a long time
for the fam. Okay, yeah. So I guess we're doing okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there's not any questions that we haven't answered. Mm-hmm. Okay. No need for me says I feel you, Jenny. Yeah, that's, you know. Oh, and we're starting to go red. Okay. All right. So I guess we're going to, like, wrap it up. We've been going for a while now.
We'll see you guys fucking...
get some food Sunday. Sunday, we are going to talk about... Do you want to talk about the Black Cat?
Yeah, we can talk about some Black Cat.
We're going to go back to the fucking 1930s, man.
Yeah.
Boris Karloff, Bela
Lugosi. Black Cat. Check it out. It's good.
We watched the Black Cat on Shudder. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that on Sunday afternoon. So be sure to come by for that. So thanks for hanging out with us for this Friday night. Have a good weekend up until then. And thanks for all your super chats. We will see you on Sunday afternoon. Bye.